As we all know, there are daily calls now for the fact that Harry and Meghan should have their titles, the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, stripped away from them. And I often remember that particular interview, chums, where I think it was Anderson Cooper and, of course, the ITV man Tom Bradbury basically brought up the titles, and Harry almost blew a gasket on air because he knows that, you remember, without that there isn't really much to offer. The other side of it as well, which I found fascinating, is when he first left on the Freedom flight, if you remember, Harry basically said, the first things, oh, just call me Harry. He wanted to be normal. And I understood that in a sense. It was a new adventure. He had a new idea and he wanted to be removed away from the world that he knew. But very quickly, when he moved to America, the one thing that actually people were interested in was the Royal Association, the fact that he was that close to the late Queen, Her Majesty the Queen, the fact that, of course, he was close to Catherine, the Princess of Wales, known mainly still in America as Kate Middleton. And the thing was, that was the lure. And very quickly, as they found out, even the team that his wife had organised for their PR realised they could not drop these titles. But behind the scenes, as this pressure grows, particularly after the week that he's had with all the negativity once again and the losing of the security case, why has His Majesty the King decided, well, the time is not right yet? It may surprise you, I have this from an excellent source who basically, well, I think personally, it's the right plan. As ever, let me explain. Morning, chums. Lovely to see you. Thank you so much for taking the time out for joining me today. And as ever, nice to have your company, whatever you're doing. It is meant to be spring here, but it's not very spring-like, I love it when you watch the weather, by the way. I just want to share this with you. It makes me laugh. They say, oh, it's, a mixture of sort of, a few clouds, but mainly sun. And you think, right, I'm seeing a lot of clouds. I'm not seeing much warmth, and I'm seeing a lot of blowy wind. But you know what I mean? Where's the... If you listen to it, you kind of think, well, I know they can't pinpoint the spot, but you look at your area and think, this is not the weather that you said yesterday. You know what I like to be blunt. You know what it's like. It's a little bit like, of course, His Majesty the King, still reeling from the fact that his youngest son basically has put a timer. It's almost like an egg timer and how long he's got left, isn't it? Well, I don't know how long my father's got left. Bit news to Charles. Can you imagine tucking into the toast and beans out at Windsor Castle and thinking, what? Where has this come from? Now that's the problem. You see, this is the problem where Harry needs managing in front of a camera. Somebody somewhere should say, that's not the right way to do it, sir, But as I said, the titles are still the big problem, particularly with the public over here in the United Kingdom. And some might even suggest the people who live in that glorious area that is Sussex, all down on that wonderful area, inner and outer coast. Now, Harry apparently doesn't, want those titles to go. He believes and fought for the titles for his two children, Lily and Archie. And according to staff, they now have to title them Princess Lily and Prince Archie so that they get used to them in the fullness of time. As ever, we have to say allegedly, but what I find odd about that is, who's going to be calling them that if they're not coming over to the UK? Where would you need that unless you're going to a school? And isn't that highlighting the level of privacy that apparently you're supposed to want, right? I mean, that's the deal. I don't get that. But, this is from a good source. So why has His Majesty the King decided to, well, William, as we know, really wants this, nipped in the bud now. But His Majesty the King has basically said, no. This, as I say, is from an excellent source. He believes that by doing that, you will just create the self-pity party even more and exactly play into the hands of Markle. You see, can you imagine that there you have this situation now with the king, basically, still battling on his own cancer journey, but pulling back now from the security, and on top of that, taking away their titles. Meghan herself would relish that wonderful opportunity to be able to say, you see, this is exactly why I needed to leave the monarchy. They're playing it out very cleverly. And do not forget that she could then call herself Princess Henry, not actually Princess Markle or Princess Meghan, as she thinks. But she wouldn't care about that anyway. Let's be blunt, she's already titling herself HRH when she shouldn't be doing that, but she doesn't really care. So moving forward, the bigger issue that you have now is the king, in his infinite wisdom, I truly believe, he's doing this the right way because, quite frankly, both Harry and Meghan are looking for something to hang their next victim on. And if the king was to do this, well, it gave them the perfect opportunity. By letting them stew, literally wondering what his next move is, he believes is the way forward. The thing is, do you, the great public out there, think he's doing the right thing? As ever, I'd love to know what you think in the comments below. And if you can, please like and share and comment respectfully. Neil Sean in the very heart of London.